Well, now we're going to begin the second chapter of the book of Nineveh, and it continues on the destruction of Nineveh. The history basically of Israel and Judah was a civil war after David and Solomon, and then different countries came against them, the Moabites, the Edomites, Philistines. Then Egypt came against them with Shishak, and mentions this in 1 Kings 14:25. And after Shishak is Assyria coming from the north from Damascus. Following Syria comes Assyria, which were the people that lived over in the Mesopotamia area up in the northern part of what is today Iraq by Mosul. And the capital Syria and Assur were there, and Tiglath-Pileser came against Israel first. It mentions this in the 15th chapter of 2 Kings, verse 29. And he took much of Syria. He took much of Israel and the people, and he took him over into the areas of Assyria and spread them around. And then after this, it mentions in 16th chapter, the 10th verse of 2 Kings, that Ahaz went up to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, and he copied many of the things that Tiglath-Pileser had from this area of Nineveh, and copied his altar and different things and brought them back into the Jerusalem and put them there on the Temple Mount. But then in the 2 Kings 17, 1-5, it mentions how Israel fell in the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah. Hoshea, son of Elah, reigned in Samaria over Israel for 9 years, and he did the wicked thing in the eyes of the Lord, only not as the kings of Israel who were before him. Against him there ascended Shalmaneser, king of the Assyrians, and Hoshea became to him as a servant, and he bore gifts to him. And the king of the Assyrians found a plot by Hoshea, for Hoshea sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and did not bring gifts to the king of the Assyrians year by year. And the king of the Assyrians assaulted him and tied him up in the house of the prison. And the king of the Assyrians ascended unto all the land, and ascended unto Samaria, and assaulted it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of the Assyrians seized Samaria, and he resettled Israel into Assyria, and he resettled them in Hala and in Habor, the rivers of Gozim, and the mountains of the Medes. So Israel is now gone, the people have gone, and then the Assyrians later come against Judah in the south. Sennacherib comes against Judah with Sennacherib, was the height of the Assyrian empire, and he attacked many of the cities of Judah, took them, and the story of Sennacherib is in the 18th chapter and following with his conquest of Judah, but he didn't take Jerusalem. Then it mentions in verse 1 here of the second chapter. I'll read it in Greek. Syntateleste anilote anevi emphison is prosopon su exairumenos ek thalipsios skopevson odon kratison osphis andrise ti eski svodra. Well, now, this is a hard verse, actually a chapter for me to expound on, because I'm not exactly always sure who he is and they are and him and all these different pronouns. And it could be as many places in the Bible. It talks about prophetic prophecies are for the future that is fairly close to the time of the prophecy, and sometimes it's to the far future. To our times today possibly, and even into the future. Goes into Gog and Magog, is mentioned even after the 1,000-year period in the book of Revelation. So to understand when these places and who they're talking about, I'm not going to be dogmatic and be somebody that says this is this and this is that. but I'm going to bring out what these words are and let you make the decision and bring up some possibilities. And so it starts out, he is finished, he is consumed. Well, the he here could be Assyria, probably. But then it says, the one being lifted away from out of, eccentric being from the center, from out of affliction. We had affliction in the last chapter, and I mentioned we have this purple number because there's the word on the word on that word affliction, with the word on the word pamphlet. So the one being lifted away from out of affliction ascended, number 4, breathing, emphysone, we have emphysema, is a English derivative, breathing in your face. So this is Assyria. Now, the one, who is he talking about here? The one being lifted away. It seems like to me it could be Israel, because Israel was the one that was lifted away by the Assyrians. But if that was the case, it's talking about a time of the future, because the Ninevites were taken over by the Babylonians and the Medes, and basically Nineveh came to an end around 633 BC, where the Medes and the Babylonians took over the area. Nineveh fell in 612 and was razed to the ground, and the people who couldn't escape were massacred and deported. And so this is what happened, but it wasn't the, I don't see the Babylonians as being the ones that were lifted away from out of the affliction. But be it as it is, it continues. Watch the way, the othon, the cathode, the current, way of a current, kratison, democrat, the power by the people, have power, hold the loin, be very manly in strength. Verse 2, it continues, Dioti apestrepse Kyrios, tin ivrin Yaakov, kathos ivrin to Israel. Dioti ektinasontes ektinaxen aftus, ke taklimata afton, theephthiron. And it continues in verse 2. For the Lord, Kyrios, perverted the insolence of Jacob as the insolence of Israel. So this Jacob is being was attacked by the Ninevites, the Assyrians, and this may be what time that Nahum is referring to. For the ones shaking off shook them off. Now, that goes back again, sort of who is the ones that are shaking off, shook them off. Seems like to me it would be the Israel, because Babylon really wasn't the ones that were taken originally. And it says, they ruined their vine branches, the klimata. So the Ninevites, for they ruined their vine branches. Is it talking about whose vine branches? Israel, or was it Babylon, or is it the Ninevites that had their vine branches ruined? And then in verse 3 it continues, Opla dynastias aftu exanthropon, andros dynatus, empizontes en piri, enie ton armaton afton in imera etimasias aftu. The weapons, the opla, we have the hoplites were the Greek light infantry, also the Assyrians, and the weapons of his dynastia, we have a dynasty, it has to do with power and a command. The weapons of his command of men. Now his command, who is this? This is apparently the people that are coming against Assyria, if that's what it's about. Would be, could it be the future Israel, or was it the Babylonian Medes? That what they're talking about here. Of men, anthropon, we have anthropology, it's a derivative. Dynatus, there we have the similar word as the dynastias, the command, the mighty. Andros, android, has to do with a man. There are mighty men, mocking in fire, with fire. Piri, we have pyromaniac with pyr, with fire. And the reins of their chariots, the armaton, the armaments, their chariots, armaments would be the English derivative, in the day of his preparation. Imera, we have ephemeral as for the day of his preparation. So these people coming have these weapons, and they're mocking with fire, and it continues then. And the horsemen, epis, hippopotamus, a river horse, and the horsemen shall be making a disruption. Thorivithisonte. In verse 4 it continues. In tes othis sing chithisonte ta armata, ke sim plachisonte in tes platias e orasis avton os lampadas pyros, ke os astrape dia treconse. In, the preposition in, same as in English, in their ways, the othis, the chariots, armata, shall be in tumult. There's going to be this action going on. And shall be closely joined in the squares. The platies, we have a place or a plate, English derivatives. The sight of them, of these people coming apparently into Nineveh, is as lampadas. We have lamps of fire, pyros, pyros, fire. And as astrape, we have the English derivative, a strobe, or astrophobia, fear of lightning, as lightnings running along. So this things that are going on whenever it is. Verse 5, ke menisthesonte e megastanis avton, ke fevxonte e meris, ke asthenisusin en ti poria avton, ke spev susin epi tatihi, ke etimasusi tas prophylakas avton. And their great men, the megastanis, shall be remembering and shall flee by day. These great men are going to be taking off and leaving. Nineveh, fev, xonte, we have fugitive, and emeris, ephemeral. And they shall be weak in their goings. So they're going to be flee and be not having any strength to resist. And they shall hasten unto the walls, and they shall prepare their advance guards. So they're going to try to protect themselves when they're leaving, and sort of a last-ditch effort. And here we have the prophylakas, the word that doesn't appear in the English derivatives book. You can add it in, and we have the word prophylactic, which is, among other things, a defense and a word for defense in medicine. They're advanced guards. And it says in verse 6, Pile ton polion the nykthison, ke ta vasilia the epise. Pile, we have pylon, a gateway of the cities, polion, polis, metropolis, were opened wide. And the vasilia, the palaces, king is a basilephs. We have all these words with a basilica, and it has to do with the king royalty and palaces. Their palaces fell into ruin, so they are leaving, and so all the Nineveh is becoming, now it's starting to disintegrate by this attack. Verse 7, ke hypostasis apocalypthi, ke avti anevine, ke thule avtis, egonto, kathos peristere, phthegomene, in cardies avton. And the support, the hypostasis is an English word. It's a substance or essence of something. It's kind of a remote derivative, but it's in the book. And then was uncovered. The support was uncovered. Apocalypse, an uncovering. In the book of Revelation, the support was uncovering. And she ascended, and her maidservants were led away as doves, apparently the women there, uttering sounds in their cardias, cardiac arrest, the hearts. In verse 8, Ke Nineveh os kolim vithra, idatos ta aftis, ke afti fevgontes, uk estisan, ke uk in o epivlepon. And Nineveh, her waters are as a pool, either water, hydro, and there it appears twice. Her waters are as a kolim vithra, pool. It's like the pool in Bethesda where Jesus healed the sick man. That was a pool of something that was man-made, that was a beautiful place to go. So Nineveh was had these pools of water, and they, fleeing, did not stand. The Fevgontes, the fugitive, did not stand, and there was none paying attention. In verse 9 it continues, Vir pazon to argirion, vir pazon to krision, ke uk in peras to kosmu aftis, vevarinte iperpanta ta scavi, ta epithemimata aftis. They plundered. There's a vir pazon. They plundered the silver, Argentina being the derivative. They plundered the chrysion, the gold. We have a chrysanthemum, the gold flower. And there was no limit to her decoration, the decoration that Nineveh had, that these men were plundering. Cosmu, we have cosmetology. They were weighed down. Vevarinte, varo, we have a barometer, baritone, has to do with a weight. They were weighed down, Eper, by all her desirable items. So these people are plundering Nineveh. Verse 10, it continues, Ektinagmos ke anatinagmos ke ekvrasmos ke kardias thravsmos ke ipolisis gonaton ke othenas epi pasan osphine ke to prosopon panton os prokavma hitras. Okay, now thrusting and violent shaking. So all this violence going around in the city. All these words have to do with a city being attacked by all these chariots and armaments and warfare and people plundering and the women screaming and little kids running. And we sort of see all this with all these words that were going on. People frightened, didn't know if you're going to live or not or die. It must have been horrible. They were thrusting and violent shaking and tumult and cardias, the cardiac, the heart breaking, and the loosening of the knees, the gonaton. We have a genuflect to bend the knees. The loosening of the knees generally has to do with a person urinating because they're so afraid. And pangs on every loin, and they're shaking their legs. And the face of all as a burnt earthen pot, the fires that were going on and the smoke, and their faces were being burned and darkened by the smoke and the ashes. All this going on, this violence. And then verse 11 continues, Pu esti to kati kitirion ton leonton ke inomi I usa ti skimnis. Pu eporevthi leon tu iselthin aki skimnos leontos ke uk in o ekfovon. Where is the home? The katikitirion is a home. It's not a house, it's an ekos. Where is the home of the lions? The lions could be talking about the generals or the rulers. Leon is a English derivative of this, almost a transliteration. Where is the home? And the pasture being to the cubs. Where did the lion go, the leon? for the lion to enter, for the lion cub to enter there. What happened to this place that these generals had, that they could come back to Nineveh, that they mentioned against Hezekiah, how their city was so, if you read the pride and the arrogance that they had against Hezekiah and for Nineveh, and then you see what's happening to them here, it's just amazing. So I highly recommend reading that part in 2 Kings 18 and 19, and so with that story, and you'll see here how it was. And for the lion cub to enter there, and there was none frightening. Ekphovon, phobos, the fear. There was nothing frightening. The lion, leon, seized by force. I'll read this in the Greek. Leon, irpase, ta ikana tis skimnis avtu, ke apenixe tis liusin avtu, ke eplise theras nosian avtu, ke tokatikatirion avtu arpagis. So this, the lion seized by force the things fit for his cubs, these rulers of Nineveh, they choked prey for his young lions and filled his nest with game, with the game being the people from Israel and Judah, all these, that's what they were doing. And his home of things of seizure, they were taking things from all these other countries and bringing them into Nineveh. It continues, Idhu ego epi se legi Kyrios pantokrator, ke ekavso in kapno plitho su, ke tu leonta su kataphagate. Behold, ego, pronoun, personal pronoun, I am against you, says, legi, the leg, having to do with speech, says Kyrios, the Lord, Pantocrator, the Almighty, might krat, Democrat, and all pan, and I will burn away, ekavso, caustic, I will burn away, caustic being the derivative, your multitude in smoke, Plethos, the multitude, the word plethora is a English derivative. I will burn away your multitude in smoke, and your lions, leontus, I will devour. By the broadsword, the lions by the broadsword, the Romphea. There was the Machaira was a small stabbing sword, but this is a large broadsword. And ke exolothrevso, ek tes gis tin theran su, ke umi akus the etita erga su. And I will utterly destroy your game from out of the land, so nothing for them to take anymore. Their victims are going to be gone from out of the land, the geese, the geology of the land. And in no way should your works be heard. Akusti, akuo, they're not going to be heard of. The ergonomics having to do with works, and your works in no way should be heard of. And like I mentioned, then right, that's exactly what happened in 625 or 612. Nineveh fell to the Babylonians. We will continue in chapter 3 in the next seminar, and God bless.